All right, we're all here, ready to go. I guess it's good morning and also good afternoon, depending where you're dialing in from. If you are here for the Ace Cloud Hosting Future Ready Accounting webinar, Building a Tech Stack That Matters. I am your host and moderator, Seth Fineberg from Accountants Forward. With me today, I can't tell you how honored I am to just get to speak to these folks. We have with us the one and only Geni Whitehouse and Zane Stevens. Going to introduce them a little bit more in a minute, but first, why are we here? Well, we're going to be covering now, just so you know, this is not for CPE. We will have poll questions that are going to pop up throughout the webinar, so I'm going to make sure that you guys know about that. We're going to be taking questions, so you can put in the chat or the Q&A. Let us know what some of your questions might be. We have some folks behind the scenes that can answer some technical things. We are recording this. There are going to be some cool handouts, which I'll get to in a minute. But first, why are we here? Well, lots of things have changed, even over the past year. Anyone running a firm, and hopefully that is you, but anyone running a firm these days knows that you need the right tech stack, you need the right tools, you need the right planning to make it right. So we're going to go over what has changed over the past year, why technology is mandatory for firms, challenges accountants are facing due to rising expectations, technologies, compliance, and solutions. Also going to be digging in a little bit because our our speakers today, both Zane and Geni, have built some pretty successful niches on their own and are continuing to be involved in. So we're going to be talking a little bit about their own niches, but just the idea of kind of digging in. But for them, it was in winery accounting. Also, we cannot have a tech discussion without knowing some best uses for AI and cloud and automation in general. We want you guys to leave today feeling a little more ready, a little more prepared, a little more on the same page, and finally kind of building some basics of the tech stack that I think is going to help kind of move you away from this more transaction driven type of work to maybe a little bit more consultative advisory. Even if you're in tax, it just allows you more opportunities for real conversations, meaningful conversations to happen, which is the nature of the big A advisory work. So, one of our speakers today, Geni Whitehouse. You know her, you love her. If you don't, please do get to know Geni. She is the founder at Impactful Advisor, also the president of the ITA, and works for a very successful winery accountancy or wine country accountancy firm up there. And she's a consultant, she's a speaker, she's a lover of basset hounds and good wine. And she's going to be one of our speakers today. Also, Zane Stevens, director of Protea Financial. He also has built out a pretty successful practice focusing on the winery industry, and he's going to also be, talking about some of our topics today. And of course, little old me, I came up as a journalist in this space. Some of you might know me from my time at Accounting Today or Accounting Web. These days, I'm running a bit of a marketing and PR consultancy called Accountants Forward because that is genuinely what I want to see for this profession. I thank the great folks at Ace Cloud Hosting for asking us all here today and asking me to moderate this session. Ace Cloud Hosting obviously is a managed cloud service provider, purpose built for accounting firms, client accounting services practices. This is a bit about Ace right here. At the end, we are going to have some giveaways, so definitely stay tuned. You do not want to miss some special offers from Ace, a giveaway from Geni, and also a PDF of a tool stack. So without further ado, we want to just level set before we get into our conversation with our guests here. We want to launch our first poll just to get a sense of who's in the room with us today. So if we want to just get to that poll, great. I'm going to spend a few seconds just finding out who you are, what best describes you. You're a small business owner, CPA, accountant, bookkeeper, doesn't matter the initials that are after your name, but you are in accounting, or more specifically, you are a CAS professional. You're part of a CAS team, or perhaps you're a CFO, finance controller, or an IT professional, or perhaps something else that doesn't quite fit into that. We want to just get a sense of who you are. We're going to leave the poll open for a few more seconds. So please do your level best and answer our poll questions. Again, none of this is for CPE, but it is going to help keep us all engaged.
While we're doing that, Seth, we've got Dee and Willard who have come in on the chat that we can't answer, but hello to both of you. And we see we have a Zane fan
Hey, right on.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome,
commenting there.
welcome.
So
Yeah, Dee, thanks for following. We're friends now, so send me a real connection request and we can connect that way.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And again, everyone, please feel free throughout our discussion here today to throw in. So let's find out who you are. Okay, awesome. Look at that. Accountants in the room. We love it. A little bit of IT professionals. Okay, we see you. So thank you all for joining us here today. So we're gonna have another quick poll. We want to kind of talk about a little bit, what has changed over, the past year. So for you, why don't you just take just a few moments here to just weigh in. What do you feel has changed the most for your business after 2025? So you went through, last year, it was all about AI, it was all about changes in tech, and different impacts on our profession. Obviously, the regulatory environment notwithstanding. So few questions for you to answer. This is multiple choice. So clients expected faster answers and visibility. There's more pressure around data security. Wouldn't doubt that. More apps and tools to manage than ever before. Getting a little harder to hire some good staff, and work tends to happen from multiple locations now. So again, multiple choice. Please pick your answers that fit you the best. We can talk around that in just a moment. All right, let's see what we got here. Thank you, Porby. All right, man, lots of stuff. Look at this. Client expectations, fast, they expect faster answers, visibility, more pressure on data security, no joke. And just leading the pack here, there's more apps and tools to manage than ever before. Oh my God, I've got app overload. Genie, do you find the folks in IT is a good opportunity? And thank you all for answering. Genie, do you find that in some of your work with ITA, you're kind of at the highest level there. You got CIOs and CTOs and people who are in charge of IT and security there. You making tech decisions for their firms. You're finding that they're in overload.
I think absolutely. So the ITA has the CIOs of the top 50 CPA firms in the US. And we also have the CAS leaders of the top 100 CPA firms as members. And what we're finding, and yeah, we're right there. And the CIOs look increasingly stressed. I mean, their hair's like this. They're getting balder every time we're on a phone call. I don't know how they do it inside a CPA firm. And they're also, for the first time, at risk because of private equity and consolidation. We're seeing big firm and big firm join, which means if you're a CIO, your job isn't as stable as you thought for a long time in this space. But yeah, they're really trying to manage the CAS requirements for one thing, because CAS wants business toolkits for those clients, and the CIOs have to then figure out how to make that secure inside the firm environment. So there's some real friction there, and really trying to balance business needs with, the client demands. And so I think it's increasingly stressful for them as it is for us. I mean, they've got staff we don't in small business land. I'm in a small firm the part of the time in Napa.
Yeah,
22
both of you in small firms.
Yeah, both Zane and I. I mean, and there's a new app every day, and it does something better than the app I just signed up for yesterday. So we all feel like we're missing the boat, I think. Zane, and you're working with client-facing apps more than I am. So what do you feel?
You got that boat missing feeling, Zane?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting point you make there, Genie, because, obviously we get bombarded with different, tech providers all the time making promises. But one of the things that we don't always look at is clients coming to us. We have over 170 wineries, and every week they've got something new piece of tech that they're playing with because they've been promised something. A lot of the time we can be like, you got bamboozled, that thing is junk, it doesn't work.
Right.
But other time we're like, we never even heard of it. And they're like, you've never worked with it? I'm like, I reached out to them. They have 3 wineries in the whole of the US. If they told you more, like, it's not the truth. Like, nobody knows how to use this piece of software. Maybe not even the people who are selling it to you. And it creates a lot of complexity because, as accountants, you want really good processes in place. But if you've never seen the technology before and you don't actually know what it does and if it works, that's really hard. There's the one piece of technology out there that promises to bring DTC sales into QBO, and it does. And it is quicker than manual, but the reconciliation now takes longer than the manual processing. So we could have just done the processing to start with, right? There's a lot of promises out there, and our clients get sucked into it because most of them don't have really good processes to evaluate if the technology is good and doing what they promise.
I think that's the number one challenge that I think I see with all of this technology is you haven't defined the requirements. You don't know what it is, what problem you're trying to solve, and yet you're jumping to implement because it looks cool or it sounds cool or somebody sold you a story. And particularly in our space, Zane and I are both fighting with this on the e-commerce point of sale side. A reconciliation that is automatically done never works correctly because the underlying accounting concepts are not applied consistently or correctly. And so exactly what Zane's saying, just because you can dump stuff in faster doesn't mean it helps make the data more correct. So it's a big challenge. And I think defining what it is you're trying to do is the most critical thing any of us can do right now. What problem do I need to solve? And if I don't have one, don't change for the sake of changing.
So this really, I mean, look at this. We're a few minutes in, we're already getting real, folks. I love this. So, for all of you who have signed in today, you are in for not 1 ounce of fluff. So, in getting into it, this brings me to my, first sort of personal question for both of you. When considering efficiency and even comparatively larger, growth-related issues, what should come first for leaders, decision makers who, most of you, obviously who signed on today, this is you. So if you're making some form of decision inside your firm, what's got to come first, guys? Zane, let's start with you, buddy. And Geni, I want to hear from both of you.
Yeah, whenever we're looking at any change, we obviously have assessments and we do all the tests and stuff, but really, as Geni said, we've got to define what problem we're solving. And the number one question that my team has to answer for me to make sure that we can implement it, does this tool work better than the tool that we have right now? And that answer has to be an automatic yes, because it takes time to implement. There's change management internally, there's change management with clients. And if we don't make the big changes, it's really, really hard if it's not going to be better. I don't want a little bit better. It has to be a significant improvement for us to be able to move to that technology. And that's the starting point with any technology decision is, will it make our lives better? And if you can't answer that question with an outstanding yes, then we stick to what we got.
Before you even start looking at apps, before you start evaluating anything.
I would take a slightly different angle on that and absolutely agree with what Zane says from an internal what I need perspective. But our focus as a firm is what's the value to the customer. And we call our clients customers because we believe we have to resell them every year. And a client assumes you have an annuity stream that you never have to take care of. So what is the impact on the customer if we implement something? And is it worthwhile for that reason? Not just about efficiency internally is about doing things faster. We focus on effectiveness. What can we do that is valuable, meaningful, and has a good positive impact for us and for our clients, our customers, and which I have a hard time saying customers, even though it's been 18 years, I still say clients. But that's where we miss the boat. What's this doing for my customers or my clients? And then work from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So start with what impact you want things to have. As I had mentioned to Willard, people are already kind of wanting to know, specifics, what's good for this, what's good for that. We're going to get to that. We're definitely going to get to some app recommendations. We're talking, we're going to get into a little bit more of the tech stack type of discussion. But first and foremost, and Genie, I know you always like to say, like, you have to know what you're solving for first before
That's
the
right.
tech is going to help. But if you're not, like with practice management systems, right? Like you can't just expect to install this thing and have it, do everything you want to do, especially with workflows. Like you have to know what they are before you press any button,
That's right.
so to speak.
That's right.
On the tech stack sort of discussion, I'm personally curious, so we're talking about some pain points, but you know, we're all here for kind of the same reason, but how important is the tech stack? We all hear about it. You have, maybe some different pieces that you're continuing to build. Obviously, you're looking, it's still early in the year. Maybe you're still looking at, what maybe isn't working for you or what could make things better. When we're talking about the tech stack, what are some of the key components that cannot be ignored? Jeannie, throwing that to you, and then Zane, if you want to pepper in some stuff, that'd be
So
great.
I'm in a 22 person CPA firm in Napa Valley. All of our clients are wineries. We do not do CAS, which is why Zane and I are such good friends, because we know he's a great CAS solution for all of our clients. And when we have CAS and when we have Zane's company involved, the core accounting is going to be right and beyond that. So I just wanted to make that distinction. The tech stack that we have is, we have our tax software that we have Caseware to manage our specific niche, and we've been on Caseware a long time. And what it allows us to do is create standardized working papers across all of our clients. So we do tax and audit. We also do advisory, which is what I do inside the firm. And I also want to make it clear that I did not create the niche, as I call it, or the niche, as y'all fancy people call it. I came into a firm that already had the focus established. So I had the luxury of walking into a firm that had it figured out. But
Wine was already
prior to
flowing.
that, yeah, wine was flowing out of every faucet. Yeah, all that good stuff that you might imagine. But I had built a firm of my own, and I was taking all clients. I would be all over the geographical area in Atlanta, and I would be all over the map in terms of industries and expertise. I mean, from mobile homes to Waffle Houses were part of our firm in Atlanta, all over the place. And the focus that you have from being in an area like focused on a niche at all is amazing. But the tools we're using Canopy and Ignition in our firm, Canopy to manage the
Oh, there we
task
go.
and the workflow. It is already, and we just implemented it recently, and the impact on our team has been tremendous. We're using Ignition to do proposals. There are other tools out there. There's Carbon that I know is widely
Canopy
used.
is your PM
Yeah.
or
But
Carbon.
I would say
Carbon's
Caseware is mission critical for back end management of what we do. And we use SafeSend for the client tax return communication and exchange. We still have more applications, I think, than we need. We use BlueJ for tax research, which has also been mind blowing, the impact that's had on research for tax clients. So those are the things to look at. There's a new tool coming along that I just saw, and one of the benefits of being at the ITA is vendors call and want to be members, and I get to see all these solutions. There's a
the
new
bleeding
up
edge.
and coming, a new up and coming product called Truss, TRUSS, that seems to
I've heard
have
of
an
it.
integration across a lot of these tools. And that's the kind of thing that I think we're going to see more of. But again, if I figured out best practices across different systems, why would I switch at this point unless there's some significant positive impact on our firm and our clients, our customers? Zane, you got a whole different tech stack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
you
doesn't sound
guys,
anything like mine.
Yeah,
yeah,
go
I
for
mean
it.
that's the thing. Tech stacks are so it's not like, oh, what's the best for this, what's the best for that. It's like also what's best for you. And Zane, if you want to dig in a little bit too, since you are also serving wineries, like if you want to go into some of, those, specific pain points too. Because, you are in a niche business and, maybe some things will come out that could resonate with our audience here.
Yeah, so we use Carbon for practice management, been with them since 2018, and we pretty much live and die by it. We're a Microsoft Office, so we use Teams for a lot of our internal communications. But
Hmm.
it came up in the poll about security. So some of the important things that we've implemented in the last 2 years in terms of password management is a company called RoboForm, which has made my life so much easier to be able to find things, get passwords secure. everything that comes with it. Probably over reliant on it. I got a new phone just 2 weeks ago. Took me a really long time to set it back up because I don't know any of my passwords, which is fantastic, but also makes life really, really hard when you have to move on it. But if I don't know my passwords, they're super complex. It really does secure client software. I mean, in terms of the niche, we get a lot of really specific wine industry type tech in terms of different compliance companies. We have tons of different
like
POS
any
systems
niche
we
is going
work
to
on.
have their own tools for something.
Yeah, but one of the ones for us that inventory is a big thing in the wine space, and being able to accurately track and cost inventory and make sure we get the right data from the winemakers, not just for the costing and the accounting side of it, but for the compliance side, right? We're trying to keep these people out of prison as well, because they are required to keep very detailed reports. So over the last few years, we've partnered very closely with a company called Innovant, which has made our lives a lot easier. Great partner, huge efficiency from our side, plus massive value add to our clients in terms of knowing what is going on in their business, as well as the cost of the wine. So when we earlier spoke about, hey, making my life easier, making the client's life be easier, Geni Innovant ticks both the boxes, and it's one of those that we've really leaned in heavily. And finding partners like that within your niche, or in terms of the services that you do, goes a massive long way. So, like you mentioned, Blue Jay and the research, like that's huge for tax firms nowadays. That is really complicated stuff. It's always changing, and finding tech partners that understand what you're doing, the industry you're in, and give you, an advantage to help your clients be more successful. That's what I'm looking for in terms of tech partners and building a tech stack.
And I think I would add to that, Zane, we send all of our clients to Innovent as well, to automate the process, and just so we can tap into some data that impacts everything we do. But also there are analytics company called Enalytics, specializing in the wine industry. I would encourage everybody on this call to know the analytics for your space and for your clients. It is a huge opportunity for you to help them get the timely insights that they need. I would also say that what I think we're looking for now is an integrated AI solution that overlays all of our tools. I think it's our biggest challenge, both inside our own firms and with our clients. It's a piecemeal AI application that connects to one app or another. And what I think we need is an environmental AI, AI as part of the infrastructure, which is one of the things that I think we're moving towards, and we'll see more of that as we go forward. And hopefully Ace will help us with that, giving us some more cross-platform insights into what's really going on.
Exactly. We're going to get into the AI discussion a little more specifically, folks. I know that there's some questions coming up about particular tools. We're going to get to that too. But the idea of sort of being future ready, one of the core topics here that we're talking about. Let's just kind of address that semi-large elephant in the room. What are some of the biggest blockers to the notion of being future ready? Because a lot of it is just being ready for right now. Like, some folks will be like, "Future's here, folks." So, what are some of the things that kind of get in the way, and what does it mean to you to be future ready? So, two-parter: what are the biggest blockers to being future ready, and what does it mean to
Who
be
do you want to start?
Let's go with Zane, and then we'll get to you, Geni.
Yeah, it's such an interesting topic being future ready, and what does that exactly mean, and what the blockers are. But we sort of started the conversation this way. If you don't know what you're trying to do in terms of like what service you're trying to offer, what your value you're trying to add to your clients, and who your clients are, doesn't matter how tech forward you are, you're just never going to be future ready. So it's probably like the most archaic answer ever, but you have to understand your vision. You have to understand what you're trying to achieve. You have to set goals for your company before you do anything.
Totally.
Right? There's no point of like, oh, I've got all the best technology in the world, but I don't know who I serve and what I'm trying to do, because that doesn't help anybody. So for me, being future ready starts by just having the basics in place, really understanding who you are, what you're trying to do, and who you're trying to serve. is critically important. Like we're about to finish, enter into our 13th year in business, and we're going through that process right now again because we need to refresh it. This is something we look at a regular basis because once we understand that, we can align goals, align tech, understand if the tech that we have in place is helping us achieve those goals. And if not, we either need to go find somebody else or figure out, hey, maybe that goal is ridiculous and we need to move on from it. So for me, future ready starts with just understanding who you are and then building from that. And obviously tech is a big part of it. And I highly recommend everybody has time in their calendar, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is, to spend time looking at your tech stack and looking at, take those calls. I know there's cold calls, absolute, the people reach out to you. Oh, I'd love to show you this tech. It sucks. It really does. And a lot of the time, especially if you've got a bigger firm, we're 41 people. People are just looking to steal ideas from us and get, free advice. It's okay. Absolutely. I'm fine. I'm fine to give some free advice because I get to hear about the new tech. I get to understand it. I get to send a quick Teams message to one of my team members, say, please investigate further. It makes a difference. But start with the basics. Understand who you are and who you're trying to serve. And then you can try put the tech in place.
Geni, you want to pick up the second piece of this? Like it's in terms of the framework, and somebody had just asked a question right about this. Like, how do you know? How do you evaluate whether you're future ready? Sorry, the finger quotes have to come out. It just does. But how you
I think it has to start with your team. If you don't have the right team, you're not going to make it. And that starts with it. And so I have another business where I train accountants to do advisory. And I've been speaking about advisory for the accounting profession for over 20 years. And the profession has to, number one, change mindset. Who are we as a profession? What is the mindset? And then what is the skills that we have? And then what are the tools that we leverage? And tools are just being one of those three things. We can't just fix it with the right technology. We got to have a different way of thinking about what we do. And we've got to have
skills. Or even look at your systems.
We have to have skills that we were not trained in natively. We were trained, and what we used to hire for as a profession was deep technical knowledge. And that was accounting tech knowledge, not tool knowledge. But GAP and FASB and all of that stuff. And I think if you're going to be future ready, you got to start looking outside of that for people who can communicate with clients, people who are entrepreneurial in their thinking, people who are curious and are actively seeking to uncover new ways to do what they're doing. Those are very different traits than what we hired for in traditional old school accounting firms. And so that I think is the first thing. Do I have the right team to take me into the future, or do I have people who only know how to do things by rote, who do exactly what they do day in and day out, don't care to figure out why they're doing what they're doing, don't really think about what they're seeing with all the data that is passing through their hands? And if we're not doing that, whatever comes isn't going to be handled well by those people. So it starts with that. Define who you want on your team, and then really define what it is that matters to you at the end of whatever you're going to implement. What is it we're trying to be long term? Who are we? It goes back to the Simon Sinek why. Why am I doing this? And how do I make decisions that support every aspect of why I'm in this business? And that's, to me, the only way to make a decision about any new anything, whether it's a new person, a new tool, or a new skill that you're going to add. What's the value in helping me move towards that aspirational why, or that vision of who I'm going to be over the long term?
Totally. And anything specifically in your systems when you are just going, when you figure that out, when you're pretty comfortable of where you want your firm to go, what kind of accountant do you want to be? All these existential things are coming up now, Geni, that we didn't,
I know,
as a profession, I didn't see anyone asking so much, even during like the cloud revolution. And now AI is coming. We're going to get to AI in just a moment. But how do you evaluate after you get past that? You're looking at your systems. You're like, all right, I know what we want to do. What's sort of one thing that stands out about, knowing whether your system is indeed what we would define as future ready?
Is it having a positive impact on my client achieving their goals? That is the number one thing. Is it is it supporting me and my ability to help that client achieve their goals? If it's not, why am I fooling with it?
Yeah. And how much time is my team spending on this? And they're, they have to re-enter this and they got to redo that.
And that's the thing. If I'm motivated enough, and both Zane and I are always looking for ways to make life better for our clients through what we're doing. And
Mhm.
so you have to be out there looking for things, and you have to go to events and learn about what's happening in the space. You have to read publications. You have to subscribe to email newsletters where there's all kinds of AI updates. I mean, I got 25 different things that I'm trying to read. You have to pick a lane though and
It's
decide what
tough.
you want to focus on. And that's why the niche thing is so useful because I can focus on just a segment of solutions that I know are important to what my clients are trying to achieve versus trying to figure out all kinds of stuff that applies broadly. Zane?
I think those are all good points. And if you're really looking at your tech stack as well in terms of being future ready, one of the things that I've learned specifically in the last 2 years as we've moved away from tech being a vendor to tech being a partner is
Yeah.
as much
Mm,
as it can be super irritating when they make
love
changes
that.
all the time, partners
Yeah,
that are making changes and improvements are good partners because
if
they're
they're
not
listening
just,
to you, then
generally
yeah.
yeah, they're generally not just making them for the sake of making it, right? Like they don't want to just
Yeah.
waste money. Like they will do what they can to improve their profits. But they're making small incremental changes. It means they're listening to somebody, and that's generally accountants. And you got to build your team and the vendors, the tech partners are part of your team. You need to build a team that really cares about what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve for your clients. And if your tech stack is filled with people that are trying to improve all the time, you are way ahead of the curve. Because if you're not, you're most likely in a piece of software that is not being invested anymore, has probably got bugs and issues that need to be resolved, and is not giving you the best information to be able to provide that value to your clients. And at the end of the day, it's about providing value, and you need partners that are trying to improve as much as you're trying to improve. And if you don't have them, you just cannot be future ready.
Love
It's
that. Yeah, go ahead, Janie.
one of the things about doing traditional, and I was a tax person. I've 15 years of tax, made partner, and left the firm the next day because I didn't want to do any more tax. When you're in a
Like I'm
tax
done.
only kind of a role, all you're looking at is a general ledger. You don't care about any of the pain and suffering that happens before the transactions get there. You're focused on the financial general ledger, and you don't have input into what's happening all year long. The benefit of having a cash practice like Zane's is that you're feeling the pain. And one of the things we're doing as a firm, because we don't offer that service, is we're doing monitoring services with the client to look at what's coming out of those financials and help them leverage that information to make better decisions. So you have to go
What's
beyond the general ledger. You have to start asking questions about the operational systems, like why is your inventory so hard to cost? And then go back to the source and work with those companies to make those solutions better meet the needs of your clients. And that's where the opportunity for outplaying AI is going to be. It's in understanding the context around what's going on with those clients and what's driving those transactions that are moving through these automated systems.
speaking of AI? This is something that, and thank you for the folks at ACE. This is something that in my conversations about AI over the last couple of years, this is how I see it. And maybe some other folks are starting to see it this way too, is that this notion of AI being artificial, it's foreign, I don't understand it. It's this thing that's going to come out, it's invading, it's going to take us over. It, in reality, is new and scary and different. But the reality is, it's your assistant. It is there to work with you, not replace you. So we want to get a quick poll that we want to talk to about AI, and we got some specific questions about AI. But this is for you all. Thank you for being here, by the way. We're at the halfway point. What is your current AI stage? Not using it at all. Keep it away from me. I'm not using it. Using it personally. We don't have any, firm policy on that, but we're just using it. You're doing a little chat GPT stuff. I get it. It's cool. Using it for admin tasks, a little more advanced, drafts, summaries, things like this. Using it for accounting insights, research, a little more carefully. Um, and oh wow, this is interesting too. Hey, yeah, we started using it, and nope, we just stopped not using AI at all. Hopefully you're not there, but I get it. I saw that with cloud too. people were kind of dipping their toes in and just going, oh, I don't know, we're having a hard time moving away from our desktop environment. But so let's find out what folks said. Right on. Okay. We see some folks are curious, they're dabbling, they're using it. We got one of you that said, yeah, try it and stop. Somebody else said, yeah, not using it yet. Most of you are in it in some way, using it personally to start with. That's good. Starting with admin tasks. And remember, there's a couple of forms of AI, today, and there's going to be more. You have your chat GPTs of the world, you have your things that you're doing research and things with, you're using it to find things out. But then you have your agentic AI. This is the next level. These are the things that are going in to, using tools that you already have in place, using data that you already have, and performing tasks that maybe some of your junior staff or even you had done before. You're no longer going to need to do, but you're going to still need to review it. You still need the human in the room. And that's why I say where AI is right now is this assisted intelligence idea. So where do you see AI fitting in best? And can you also address some of the security related concerns? I mean, look, you know as well as what I do, and I do. And I was a digital CPA back in December, and AI CPA President Mark Koziel even said himself, he's like, look, we can't, as an industry, as a profession, and work with the vendor community if they can't figure out and come up with kind of a common, some common standards as we did, with cloud. We can't come up with some common, and even the internet itself, going way back. If we can't figure out some commonly accepted rules for security, like things are going to stall. So, yeah. So, Geni, where do you see AI fitting in best with our world, with the world of accounting? Can you address also some of the security concerns? And Zane, you can pepper in too, but we're going to start with Geni.
Well, I think it's already in everything that we're doing, whether you like it or not, or know it or not. It's already. I mean, look at QBO. It's assigning codes
Everything.
automatically on bank feeds. It's automatically reading in your
Your
bills
core, your
and
base,
coding
your GL, your GLs, it's there.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
coding transactions automatically. You're uploading the document. You just have to type all that crap in off of those invoices and bills. And so it's all coming in and it's there. I think the concern is who owns that data that we're putting into these cloud systems and that is being used to make decisions by the AI tool. And is there bias being implemented in the AI world? And how do we account for that bias? And also, how do we keep the data that's going in there? I mean, we're putting the stuff we're putting into AI tools, we're telling it our life stories. It's got all kinds of info about us and what's happening to that information. And also, if you're a firm and you don't have an AI policy, you are, I think,
Get
at
one.
risk because your people are using AI in an unsecured way, putting data out there that potentially puts your firm at risk. And you need to make sure that they're using a paid version of one of these AI tools, not one of those open freebies. And so I think that would be your number one thing. Get a policy in place and provide a corporate AI approved tool for your employees because they are using it, whether you know about it or not. And in many cases outside of your infrastructure and security systems. I think it's in all of our working paper tools, all of our Canopy, all these tools that we're using for workflow. We're integrating AI into those tools. Our clients, here's the challenge, I think, for us. Our clients have AI too. So I might give them an answer for my AI and they're looking it up too. And so we have to be aware that they're getting smarter all the time also. And our value needs to be the human side of things. So, and also helping them build an appropriate infrastructure and manage their own environments is a skill that we can apply as their accounting advisors. Zane?
Yeah, we already got someone getting into it, Zane. We got one for
Mm-hmm.
you. We're talking about this pre-event. Somebody specifically wants to know, like, hey, I was using BotKeeper.
Yeah.
What's an alternative? I see you. A lot of
Yeah.
firms were using it. But there's so much out there too. BotKeeper was addressing some very specific things, particularly within if you have a cast team. But are you working with anything now, Zane, that I mean you've cast practice?
Yeah, well, let's first start. I want AI to know everything about me, and I share as much as
Sure.
I possibly can. But my
Hmm.
firm, that's a different story, right? That's very, very specific in terms of what is needed. And we have a policy in place and we review it regularly. You know, we've got Copilot, we've got ChatGPT paid licenses. That's the way
Yeah.
we sort of protect it. I would say one of the things when it comes to AI, literally everything I do, I go, can AI help me with this? And that's the question
Yeah.
that's in the top of my mind all the time. Because like
Yeah.
Jeannie mentioned, like it's there, right? It's in all our apps. Though I
Yeah.
do, warn with people making promises that they have AI, let's make sure it is really AI and not automation.
Yeah.
I think people just slap that sticker on and try and charge a premium
Yeah.
nowadays. So
Yeah,
be
it's
very
Yeah.
bad.
careful about it. Security is interesting. Um, you know, I'm on the edge of like, I understand my client data, but I can take names out and, secure data as much as I possibly can. Um, I'm sending, things are still going by email. Our clients are, texting me their socials. Like people, we have to protect our clients as much as we possibly can and be safe and
Yeah.
secure. But it is interesting. I did not personally use BotKeeper, so I don't have a great alternative for it, D, but I can look into it and sort of
Some of the
figure it
things
out. I'm
that
sure.
it attempted to address. I mean, there's a lot of agentive AI out there
Yeah.
now that is
I
working.
th-
I mean, I could say like, there's Field Guide, there's True Wind, there's Basis,
there's a
several
ton of
others
yeah.
that
Yeah.
are
And,
there to work with cast teams.
Yeah.
yeah, and we
Um,
and we've processes around our current tech stack rather than using some sort of overlay. Just because in
Yeah.
the wine space we have so many different uses. So using
mm,
the distinctive mailbox of bill.com to bring bills in and then use their like
Yeah.
version of AI to update
Yeah.
things makes sense. In Carbon we
Yeah.
use the client tasks to make sure we're getting automated responses out to clients to upload documentation for us. We're using, QBO with connected bank feeds to bring in bank statements and automate our bank reconciliations. It's really
Yeah.
looking at our tech stack instead of going, okay, we need this overlay, which I do think a few years ago it was really important, and we looked for whatever reason we couldn't get comfortable with BotKeeper, and we decided, nope, the way we're going to do is lean into our individual platforms, and where we can't, our practice management is going to be the one that sort of carries the heavy weight, which is great as
mhm.
well because it lives then in a system where we all live. These timelines that if a team member disappears tomorrow, well, everybody else can still see what's happening as long as they're connected to the client. So
Right.
that's the way we've done it. We've asked our practice management and our tech stack to do a lot of the heavy work rather than having an overlay over everything. We'll continue to
For the
look for one
cast.
that works. There's a lot of promises from Intuit in terms of their all-in-one type platform done for you and all that type of
Yeah.
stuff that could help us in the future. But at the moment, we're really just good processes around different tech tools, making sure that we have workflows that make sense, that can be like duplicated, that I can move people around if I need to, and the work doesn't stop. So workflows is the number one way that we're sort of handling those CAS transactions. And maybe this is because I, worked for a listed company before and it was all about workflows. We had workflows
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
everything, timetables for everything, documents for everything, because we had to report
Yeah.
into the holding company at a certain date. And that was like the fourth day of the month, right? There's no, you had to move quickly. So we've really built it around workflows rather than relying on some tool that is going to, be this magic pill for us.
Yeah.
And I think
And yeah, go ahead, Jeannie.
BotKeeper was built in the early days of outsourced accounting, where we were using not only US staff remotely, but also outsourcing to other countries. And I
Right.
think there was a real need for integration across that tool so you could upskill a new group coming in rather quickly. I think that was the initial bent behind it. And I think as the individual tools got better, some of those specific, as Zane described, that overlay was not as important. And also, these individual component players have had more time to develop specific solutions to some of our unique problems. And so it's harder for a newer player to come in with an overlay anything that has the depth
Hmm.
of correction that we've made those vendors make over the years, at least for now. I mean, that doesn't mean AI can't develop faster now. for some of these
So
players. But
somebody's going to vibe code something that's going to lay over everything soon. Like it's just going to happen, right? Like people having conversations with AI is going to push us really far forward.
Yeah, and agentic is enabling us to do that, to run all these different apps from one thing, and so we're not far from that, but we're not there yet.
Not quite, but we are. Admittedly, I feel like we are at sort of a prove it point. AI has been in the conversation. This idea of building an AI first kind of culture, or and balancing that out with the humans that you have that you hired. I want to bin the whole like replacement idea notion. Full stop. Just let's just put it in the garbage and really talk about what's going on. It's prove it time. It's absolutely prove it time for AI. Accountants are ready to really, but you can't sit back with folded arms. You're ultimately the human that has to use this. So where do you see AI right now delivering the most value in a firm, and then kind of balancing it out with your people? You had mentioned earlier on, Genie, about this idea of having the right people um, before any tech decisions are made.
Well, you better believe, Seth, that we're using AI to analyze all the revenues, all the resumes for future hires. We had some information from our CAS community about what they look for in a new hire, and the information, the things that they were looking at are things like, are these self-motivated learners? Are there people who are going out and using AI on their own? Are there people who are using some of these video tools that are out there?
Has anyone
are they checking out
anything?
yeah. What are they listing as things that they're doing in their own time when they're not at work for their own edification? And I mean, that's amazing. But AI is going to help us evaluate what we're looking for in these new folks. We're going to be running resumes through there. I mean, I think AI is giving huge value in data analysis and simplifying concepts. I mean, we're all doing executive summaries of every white paper that comes out and everything that we get, so we can gather information in more digestible bites. But we can also do it. I mean, I had a client set up for QBO that I was working on, and I had a bunch of inventory items that were all going to similar revenue buckets. I plopped it in there, and it gave me all the information I needed to set up QBO accurately. That kind of stuff that used to take hours, it's seconds now. So
amazing. Well, we also, as much as we can continue to get excited, a little bit of trepidation about where AI is and is going, we also really shouldn't forget about where cloud is too. Some of the key enabler to digital transformation. I mean, recent survey, Walters Clore said 74% cloud-based firms are reporting, profit growth compared to, 65% of traditional firms. So that's still pretty good to know. And it is interesting to see, and it should also be noted for some of us who've been observing the market as long as we have, we can't ever forget where it came from, how long it took, Genie, for firms to just embrace cloud. And I don't want to see that happen with AI, and clearly I don't think we are. It feels like even just this small sample size of this crew that's here today, you're jumping in. Not like feet first, but like you're going, and anecdotally, the firms that I talk to, they're all at various stages, but at least they're trying. They're not like with the first few years of cloud, it was like, no, stay with me. I don't know anything about this.
I would have to say you may not be able to tell if you are future ready, but I can tell you how to know if you're not future ready. If you're not on the cloud and if you're still writing or sending paper checks, you are not future ready.
Lord.
Even
the IRS,
and I can't believe
we're even not sending paper checks anymore.
I can't believe we're even talking about the cloud still. Zane, what's your perspective?
I know. It's just like, hey, just don't forget it's there. You don't have to dig into much.
It's always weird because I moved to the US in 2013, so I think I missed a lot of that, right? But I run into it all the time where people are still very fixated on having desktop software on a PC within their company that we have to try remote into through a VPN, and we're in wine country, high fire risk, but cool, we'll put it all in a computer that could burn down at any second, right? Like it's the logic behind it blows my mind. And I obviously skipped a lot of it. I've just sort of grown up in a world where, cloud is a real thing. I worked for a large technology company before I moved. Yeah, it's beyond me that people could still be stuck on like PCs in an office that are all connected to some little hub. It blows my mind. It's expensive. There's huge risk around it. It is just so much easier to, yeah, like the security, the accessibility. I mean, the number of times I'd be working like at 11 o'clock at night and all of a sudden the system would go down because we had servers. It was a big technology company that had massive, data warehouses that we worked in, and it went down. And luckily we had 24/7 IT services so we could get it back up and going. But it would happen at 11 o'clock at night where it's me, maybe one other person, and that one tech guy that's on duty, right? So it blows my mind that people aren't there. Obviously, you're always looking for a good partner. Ace Cloud Hosting has been a great partner for us, and it's just you need it. You just can't survive without it. So if you're not working directly in apps, you do need a hosting partner that'll look after you from the security standpoint, from the accessibility standpoint, 100%. And just a way to be able to connect your team.
And just think about having your data on a physical device now when it needs to be on the cloud so you have mobility, so you can access from whatever device you happen to be on. There's just so many reasons, but also small firms. I mean, I'm in a relatively small firm, but I also have my own business. I can't manage the security concerns on my own. I need an infrastructure provider who can support me in all those ways, particularly when it comes to the security and managing all the apps and things that we have to deal with in our environments.
Yeah, that's just not something you want to take on. So as we're seeing here, we have sort of a basic idea of what a general tech stack would look like. Your GL, your AI tools, your practice management, your cloud infrastructure, and then other things that kind of will feed therein. Got one more poll question. We got a few minutes left. I want to get to your questions. Thanks for peppering those in. Folks, hopefully we've addressed some of them. We're going to address some of them in our last minutes. More specifically, final poll for y'all. How do you access your accounting software today? There is it. One office computer. Pardon?
Go ahead.
Yeah, only from your office computer, remote into into your computer, cloud hosted setup, mix of methods. Sure. How I access my accounting software today. Hopefully that's not you.
Just turn it on, Seth, and magically stuff appears on my screen.
Oh my!
It's like a button and it just works.
No, exactly. Hey, that's next. You watch.
So yeah, Seth, do you want to speak to our question we have from Dee? She's got a 5-person firm on QuickBooks Enterprise.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get to this final poll and see what the results are. But yeah, then we got some Q&A. Thank you for coming in with your questions. We're going to get to them in a sec. Very cool. All right. We see you. Good. No one's only from an office and no one's not sure.
Unsure.
Bravo. You passed the class. Right on. All right. Well, you guys have been patient with your questions. Hopefully we've addressed some of them, but yeah, Dee, running a 5-person team using QBE Enterprise for real estate. Using Splashtop to access remotely. Okay. However, it's a little laggy and slow. No disrespect, but not surprising. Will cloud solve the problem? You guys either heard,
you need to call the folks at ACE immediately because yes, I ran my bookkeeping company. I had one from
there are callers standing by
from 2014 to 2022. I had a remote team, about 3 to 5 people, depending on who you counted, all on Ace Cloud Hosting. They host not only the QuickBooks applications that you need to use if you're trying to get those cloudified and you can't give up some of the functionality for your real estate clients, and then everything else. So your entire infrastructure runs through there. They manage the security around all your applications. Yeah, and speed was never an issue with that environment. Zane?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since we've sort of operated that way because we've moved everybody over to QBO. Um,
Yeah.
but having a good remote hosting platform makes such a big difference from accessibility, from having all your apps in one place so you don't have to switch. I mean, I know when I first started, you'd go in, you work on QBO. Oh, I need to go get something from Dropbox somewhere else, and I have to, you know,
Exactly.
disconnect, go do the work, get it, write down on a piece of
Yeah.
paper, go back in. Horrible, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Ace comes in, helps you do that, and handles the security, which is the biggest part as well. Like, if you one less thing to worry about. I've got a good tech team in place. We've got a lot of good security measures, but knowing like that the app that you're using to host is looking after your security as well, like it takes a lot of the pressure off. Then you've got multiple layers protecting your firm, and more protection the better, because the insurance policy won't cover it all.
So
Yeah.
I just want to
No,
make a point about this. So if you've got people running on any kind of a desktop file server and they have individual devices, whether they're laptops or whatever, if they are storing client data on those individual devices, you are at risk for security. What ACE does is create an infrastructure environment that you log into, and there is a virtual desktop inside that environment, and all that client data stays inside that. So you've added a huge layer of security around not only the data, but also the entry point to that. So I can have an employee on just a useless laptop that's got no data that resides on it, which is what our firm does. And then all of their data goes inside that secure environment that is hosted by Ace Cloud or another provider, but Ace Cloud is the one you want. They're there. Their team is top technology professionals, including some folks who were part of the government in India managing security. So you've got really high level expertise that's being brought to bear on what they're doing in that environment and at a very affordable price.
Yeah, and
excellent.
that's
Well,
from a
we've
security
got,
standpoint, being able to remove person quickly with one click is so important. And that's something to
Yes.
keep in mind with all your apps. Like it's easy. Like I fell into this trap a long time. Just, oh, everybody has their own
Yeah.
login. No, pay a little bit
Yeah.
extra money, have the company version, be able to remove people or kick them out, change their password, whatever you need to do for a security standpoint as quick as
Yes.
possible. And that's where partners like Ace come in, because one click of a button, they're gone and they
They're
can't
out.
damage your reputation.
Yeah.
so we've got a couple minutes left. We definitely want to thank Ace Cloud Hosting for this event. Somebody did ask we have someone else from the winery industry managing accounting for a growing winery. What is the must-have tech stack you should set up now to support growth? Is there?
Uh, depends would be the answer. You can
I
do
mean,
what you
Zane
do,
mentioned some
most of
very
what you do.
industry-specific things, and
Yeah,
yeah.
on QBO for the core accounting. Don't count on it for your detailed inventory costing. Use operational tools like Innovent that Zane and I both support. Analytics for analysis of your point of sale system. Most of our clients are in Commerce 7, Zane, um, for the point of sale e-commerce selling. Bunch of other
It's,
tools.
def-
There are
it's
things in
def-
the
definitely the
vineyard.
biggest, but
Yeah,
we have Figure, eSeller,
yeah,
Shopify. Like they're all out
yeah,
there. I personally, we be cautious in the wine space of Shopify because you have to turn off states rather than turn them on in the other systems,
Mm.
which can be really dangerous because you can't just sell anywhere wine. You need licenses. But they all do a really good job.
And
So
I would also
clearly,
say
yes.
the must-have tool in the wine space is a product called Ship Compliant from Sovos, which attaches to the e-commerce solution and manages your licensing requirements. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you both, Jeannie and Jane, for speaking to the winery question. Hopefully, we got that answered for you. Really, the right tech stack fundamentally changes the role of being an accountant. I mean, clearly, some of the research here from ADP, 90% business clients interested in at least one advisory or consulting service from their accountant, and 74% accounting professionals said they need to move beyond traditional, meaning more transactional. I always assume that's what traditional accounting means. It's very transactional services to survive. So, without further ado, thank you. This is your reward for sticking with us for this entire hour here. We have taking some next steps. We got a nice offer here from Ace. $19.5 per user per month for 3 months. Just scan that code there. Host your accounting apps, QuickBooks, tax software in the cloud. Got that level of support, the high level of support for you, 24/7, 365. Also 20% off of managed security offer for you. And Geni, thank you so much. 10% off on DIY advisory training. Any final words from you folks before we jump off here today? Just again, apply the ACE coupon code at the end. Anything, Geni, you want to speak to your offer at all, or any final words?
It's how to get started in advisory, which is what we're going to be free to do now that we have AI and other automation. So
Excellent.
Check it out if you're interested. It's online training, and you get 10% off.
And also for all of you all who have attended today, you're going to have a PDF of a tool stack you'll have available to you. You can just click the link right in there. There's Geni's. And then also, the special offers from Ace. And then keep an eye on your inbox. We're going to share the full webinar recording with you all. Along with the recording, you are all going to receive an ebook featuring the recommended tech stack tools discussed by Geni and Zane today. My goodness, I need a protein bar. Geni and Zane today. Thank you all for sticking with us for this hour of power that we have talking about being future ready. Hopefully you all feel a little bit more ready for today and also the future that's coming. I know it was mentioned, it is coming fast. And I know it's been said before that, in terms of the pace of change, it's never going to be slower than right now. So with that in mind, thank you, Ace Cloud Hosting. Thank you, Geni. Thank you, Zane, for your time, for your insights, for your winery-specific recommendations for tech stacks. Folks, get out to a conference, get out to a live event. You'll likely see us there. But even if you don't, you will be around your colleagues. You're going to be around knowledge. You're going to be around folks who are there to help you and are probably struggling with some of the same things that you are today. Any final words, folks? Otherwise, we're going to sign off. And thank you again.
Thank you, Seth.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great and successful rest of your day. Take care.